Welcome back. When people think about school leadership, they often imagine a principal solving problems within a school. But leadership challenges are rarely that simple. Many of the challenges leaders face appear local, but are shaped by influences operating across the broader educational system. Consider some common leadership challenges: student behavior, inclusive education, teacher workload, parent expectations. These challenges may seem separate, but they are often interconnected and influenced by factors beyond the immediate control of school leaders. My own research with K-12 teachers shows that many challenges they experience are not simply classroom issues. Teachers often describe navigating policy expectations, resource constraints, competing stakeholder demands, and informal pressures at the same time. For school leaders, this creates complexity. A challenge that appears to be about student behavior may also involve school procedures, family expectations, resource availability, or broader policy requirements. This is why leadership requires more than problem solving. It requires understanding the system that is producing the problem. Before deciding what to do, leaders need to understand where the challenge comes from and what influences may be shaping it. It's time to pause and reflect. You can think about a leadership challenge in your own educational context. Where does that challenge appear to originate? Is it primarily a classroom issue, an organizational issue, a policy issue, or multiple influences are contributing to it? You can pause the video and discuss. Once you finish, you can move to the next part of the video. In the previous slide, we explored the complexity of leadership challenges. The key question now is, how can school leaders make sense of that complexity? HEPGA provides one possible answer. Rather than viewing leadership challenges as isolated problems, HEPGA encourages leaders to examine the multiple influences shaping a situation before making decisions. As shown on the slide, leadership takes place at the intersection of several interconnected influences. At the macro level, leaders must respond to policies, legislation, and system priorities that often establish expectations that schools are expected to implement. At the meso level, leaders must navigate school structures, organizational processes, staffing realities, and resource constraints that influence what is possible within a particular school context. At the micro level, leaders must respond to and understand what is happening in classrooms and everyday school life. This includes the experiences of teachers, students, and families. At the same time, culture shapes how people interpret decisions, respond to change, and interact with one another. Finally, shadow policy reminds us that schools are also shaped by informal practices, unwritten rules, professional judgment, and everyday adaptations. This means that effective leadership requires more than responding to visible problems. It requires understanding the broader system of influences surrounding those problems. It's time to pause and reflect. You can think about a recent leadership decision in your own educational context. Which of these influences shaped that decision most strongly? Was it a policy requirement, an organizational consideration, a classroom concern, school culture, or an informal expectation that was never formally documented? You can pause the video and discuss. After you're done, you can move to the next part of the video. Let's now see how HEPGA can help leaders analyze a common challenge found in many schools, which is student behavior. Student behavior is often treated as an individual student issue. When problems arise, the immediate response is sometimes to focus on the student, their choices, or their actions. But HEPGA encourages us to look beyond the individual and examine the broader system surrounding the issue. As shown on the slide, student behavior can be influenced by multiple factors operating simultaneously. At the policy level, discipline policies and accountability expectations may shape how schools respond to behavior concerns. At the organizational level, school procedures influence how behavior incidents are reported, managed, and addressed. At the classroom level, teaching practices, relationships, instructional approaches, and classroom management strategies also play important roles. At the same time, school culture influences how behavior is interpreted. Norms, values, and beliefs shape what is considered acceptable behavior and how staff members respond to challenges. Finally, there are informal responses. Teachers and leaders often rely on professional judgment, discretionary decisions, and informal workarounds to address situations that formal policies cannot fully anticipate. This was one of the key findings emerging from my own study with K-12 teachers, who frequently described adapting their responses to fit the realities of specific situations. The key insight here is that student behavior is rarely just a student problem. It is often the result of interactions among policies, procedures, practices, culture, and informal decision making. For school leaders, this means that effective responses require more than addressing the visible behavior itself. They require understanding the broader system that may be contributing to the challenge. It's time to pause and reflect. Think about how student behavior is typically discussed in your school or educational context. What explanations are most commonly used? Do discussions focus primarily on students? Or do they also consider policies, procedures, school culture, and informal practices? What explanations might be missing from the conversation? You can pause the video and discuss. Once you're finished, you can move to the next part of the video. So far, we've seen that leadership challenges are shaped by multiple influences. But one of the most important lessons from my study with K-12 teachers was that many of these influences are not immediately visible. The iceberg on this slide illustrates this idea. Above the surface are things leaders often see first: policies, procedures, data, student behavior. These are the visible aspects of school life that frequently become the focus of discussion and decision making. But beneath the surface are many other influences that are often harder to see. Relationships between staff members, parent expectations and advocacy, teacher stress and workload, informal workarounds, and the emotional labor involved in supporting students, families, and colleagues. Teachers in my study frequently describe navigating these hidden dimensions every day. Many explain that formal policies rarely captured the full complexity of their work. Instead, they often relied on professional judgment, relationships, and informal adaptations to respond to challenges in ways that made sense within their specific contexts. This is an important lesson for leadership. If leaders focus only on what is visible, they may misunderstand the cause of a problem. For example, student behavior may appear to be the issue, but beneath the surface, there may be staff burnout, strained relationships, competing expectations, or unresolved cultural tensions. Effective leadership therefore requires curiosity. It requires asking not only what is happening, but also what might be happening beneath the surface. It's time to pause and reflect. Think about a challenge in your own school or educational context. What aspects of that challenge are highly visible? Now consider what might be hidden. Are there relationships, expectations, informal practices, or emotional pressures that are influencing the situation but receiving little attention? You can pause the video and discuss. After you're done, you can move on to the next part of the video. Throughout this video, we have explored how HEPGA can help school leaders make sense of complex challenges. Many leadership approaches focus on solving immediate problems. When a challenge emerges, leaders are often expected to respond quickly, address symptoms, and restore stability. While these actions are sometimes necessary, they can also encourage leaders to focus only on what is most visible. HEPGA encourages a different approach. Rather than asking only, how do I fix this problem, leaders also ask, what factors are shaping this problem? How are different parts of the system interacting? What influences might be hidden beneath the surface? And what unintended consequences might result from my decisions. This shift represents a movement from problem solving towards systems leadership. Ultimately, HEPGA helps leaders move from reaction to understanding. And when leaders better understand the systems they work within, they're more likely to make decisions that are thoughtful, responsive, equitable, and sustainable. It's time to pause and reflect. Think about a leadership challenge you are currently facing or one you have faced in the past. How might you analyze that challenge differently using HEPGA? What influences or interactions might become visible that you had not previously considered? And how might a systems perspective change the way you respond? You can pause the video and discuss.